Pressure is mounting on the government over the affordability of student loans after a decision by Chancellor Rachel Reeves to freeze the earnings threshold where graduates begin repayments. Today, the First Minister of Wales, Labour's Eluned Morgan, intervened, saying she had no intention of bringing in that freeze in Wales. So let's recap. We're talking specifically about Plan 2 loans set up by David Cameron's coalition government for students who began university in England between 2012 and 2023, while there's still the student loans that you get in Wales. There are separate systems in Scotland and Northern Ireland. Most graduates with these loans are in their 20s and early 30s, and there's a lot of them, 4.1 million graduates with these loans so far. The scheme's controversial because it's the only undergraduate loan which can charge an inflation-busting interest rate. That rate is currently up to 6.2% for the highest earners, way above inflation, that. And what that means is even those paying money off each month can open their statements, and sums like these are not uncommon, and find that the amount they owe is going up rather than down. So how do they calculate repayments? Well, any money you earn over around £28,000, 9% of those earnings goes to paying off your student debt. That's 9% month after month until it's paid off or it gets wiped after 30 years of repayments. And for the majority of this cohort, they will go the full 30 years because most will never repay in full. Now, all this comes as the cost of going to university continues to rise. Graduates now beginning their working lives with this much debt, £53,000 of student debt. And with that in mind, there's been a backlash to Rachel Reeves' decision to freeze the threshold at which people start repaying these loans for 3 years, starting in April 2027. That's her decision. And that means as wages go up, the threshold for making repayments is not going up, meaning more graduates are paying more of their salaries in student loan repayments. Let's hear now then from James, a 30-year-old teacher from Nottinghamshire who has one of these loans.
So when I first graduated, it was just under 60,000, and now it's gone up to nearly 73,000. Yet nearly £200 of my wage is going off every single month. Yet it's not having any impact at all. It's just really unfair and quite unjust about the whole system.
Well, the Chancellor's decision to raise more funds from graduates in her budget led to anger, and she justified it, though, a few days ago by saying to be able to bring down NHS waiting lists, that does require putting money in. So at the weekend, I asked Government Minister Steve Reid why these graduates were paying twice, were they, for the NHS, through their tax and also their student loans.
Rachel has taken a decision that freezing the thresholds at this stage still leaves people earning almost £30,000 not having to pay a single penny.
Do you think it's fair to change the terms of a loan repayment after you've taken it out? I mean, if that was happening elsewhere, you'd call them loan sharks.
Well, it's only the threshold. It's not the interest rate that's changing. It's the threshold at which people are being asked to pay, and I think that is fair. If you don't do that, then you're effectively going to ask people who have not had the benefit of going to university to pay more tax to subsidise those who have.
Steve Reid speaking with me there. Well, joining me now is the President of the National Union of Students, Amira, Campbell. I mean, some huge numbers there. You heard from James, who's got £72,000 worth of debt and it keeps going up. Do you think he's going to feel any better that Rachel Reeves is telling you is to pay for the NHS?
Well, I think I, alongside a lot of students and a lot of graduates, are deeply concerned about the support that the NHS receives. But the Chancellor cannot continue to play politics with students and graduates. By freezing that threshold, she's effectively asking graduates to pay even more, hundreds more, than they've already contributed or than they are already contributing. And for many of us graduates, we're going through really difficult times, living paycheck to paycheck or at the early stages of our careers. And facing that challenge is going to be really, really difficult.
As far as I can tell, I don't think any single member of the Cabinet is in this situation themselves. I don't think any of them have this kind of loan, they didn't go to university at the relevant time, do you think it would make a difference if they did? Do you think they'd see things differently?
Well, actually, there are a couple of backbenchers who are affected by this loan.
Backbenchers?
Yeah, backbench MPs who are also affected by this, and I'm sure that they'll be having conversations with government about this. But I think what we need to think about, and I imagine what Rachel Reeves is thinking about right now, is the sheer number of voters, that electorate, who are affected by this, who will be thinking about this as one of the key things that they need to think about when deciding.
Well,
who to
yeah,
vote for.
because it's a voting group that actually looks like it supported Labour at the last election. And yet these are the ones affected, as you say. But do you see any movement on this? I mean, Labour in Wales is now saying they're not going to bring in this threshold. Bit of a backbench rebellion, as you said, about the NHS comments. Do you see any movement at all?
Well, I'm optimistic for change. There is a lot of pressure on from students, from graduates, from parents as well, who are also affected by this to make this change. We're in a situation where we know so many students already, or people who were on the Plan 2 loan, really struggled during university. They had maintenance loans that weren't supporting them properly. They didn't have access to maintenance grants. They had parental income thresholds that were frozen for almost 2 decades, and their parents were struggling to contribute and support them. And then they graduated. They started getting into work, started building up their careers. They started wanting to get on the property ladder or to start families. And all of a sudden, they're being told that now that threshold is being frozen, and they're going to struggle even more to pay back those loans.
Do you think the whole system needs reform? Because there's this hodgepodge of different people on different loans. At the same time, you've got universities saying they're underfunded, and if the tuition fees had gone up in line with inflation, you'd all be paying $13,500 or something now rather than $9,000 something.
I mean, the system is clearly broken. It's not working for students, it's not working for parents, it's not working for graduates, it's not working for universities either. I could be here talking about abolishing tuition fees. We could be talking about universal basic income. But I think what we're really doing right now is calling on the Chancellor to urgently make a U-turn, reverse this decision because of the number of people that are going to be so deeply affected by it.
OK. Amira, Campbell, thanks very much for speaking with us this evening. Thank you.